Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your host, a bad guy Ibra, aka Brima. I'm your favorite Gambian, ladies and gentlemen. UFC 272 is upon us. And honestly, mate, I know within the event in itself, there's a lot of fights that we're all excited about, but I'm primarily or largely focused on the main events between Colby Chaos Covington and Covington and the Gamebred Jorge Masvidal, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fight that we've all been waiting for, and essentially, it's a fight where two best mates, two former teammates, or two roommates, Colby Chaos Covington and Jorge Masvidal, will go toe to toe at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. So this video is just primarily about the prediction. Who do I think is going to win, in my personal opinion, and how do I think the fight is going to go, to be honest. I think, honestly, if you look at both fighters and their presence throughout the UFC, honestly, it's been phenomenal for both fighters. Masvidal has been fighting for a long time. He's made his MMA debut back in 2008, proper professional MMA debut back in 2008, but he's been around the scene since like 2003, right? So the dude has been around, an absolute incredible striker, not the best grappler in sort of like the sense of the UFC or mixed martial arts in general, but he's got a decent ground game, he's got a decent takedown defense, and I mean, his record it's not been the worst. I mean, it's a decent record, to be honest, considering the amount of fights that he had throughout his professional mixed martial arts career. His record has been, let me see, he's had 35 wins throughout his mixed martial arts career. So he had over about 50 fights, right? 45, 50 fights. He's got 35 wins and 15 losses, right, throughout his professional career, from like making his debut back in 2008, and he became popular through his backyard street fight with Kimbo Slice and all of that. And obviously Colby Covington, incredible. His record in the UFC has been not in the UFC, but overall his record has been 16 wins and 3 losses, right, losing twice to Kamaru Usman, obviously. But obviously incredible record for Colby Covington as well. But honestly, going into this fight, knowing that both fighters at one point were best friends, right? We all know that, like, both fighters at one point were best friends. Knowing that now that these two people are going to be fighting each other, is there something that Jorge Masvidal remembers about Colby's style of fighting when they were sparring as friends that he could use to his advantage in defeating Colby Covington? Or is there sort of like a pattern in which Masvidal fights, especially with regard to their sparring, that Colby Covington can, taken advantage of? But I mean, if you look at the current reigning, defending, undisputed UFC welterweight champion of the world in the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman, I mean, he's watching this and he's just loving every second of it, to be honest. He really is. I mean, he's not beaten both guys just once. He's beaten both guys twice decisively. I mean, his first fight against Colby Chaos Covington obviously took place back in UFC 245, right? Remember that fight? A great fight, obviously, until Usman finished Colby Covington when he finished him in the 4th or the 5th round. I'm not sure. I think it was the 5th round. He dropped him and he finished him, right? Incredible. But going into the fight, I had it 2-2 for both fighters, right? So I had it a draw, and Usman finished it. And Usman then went on to fight Jorge Masvidal at UFC 251 and defeated him. And then fought him again at UFC 261, 10 pay-per-views later, and knocked him out cold, right? With an incredible knockout, honestly. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the cleanest knockouts you would ever see. So both fighters going into this fight knowing that they've lost to the reigning undisputed UFC champion, or welterweight champion of the world, in Kamaru Usman. So regardless of what happens in this fight, regardless of if Masvidal wins or Colby Covington wins, they know that they're not going to get a title fight. So they need to work their way up. And in my opinion, or personally, I think Colby Covington, I know it's obviously different. There's going to be different perspectives, but it's going to be kind of hypocritical for me to just say and point out that Colby Covington is going to win, and that's it. To be honest, I think Colby Covington has the advantage going into the fight primarily because of his wrestling skills. Right, he's an outstanding wrestler, D1 All-American wrestler, Division 1 from Oregon State, I think that's where he's from, and I mean, we saw what he did to Robbie Lawler which already did to Robbie Lawler, mate. Out-wrestled him, out-grappled him. He did the same thing to Damian Maia. I'm talking about Damian Maia, highly decorated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I'm talking about a real bad MF. I mean, Colby Covington dominated him. Rafael dos Anjos, former lightweight champion of the world. Colby Covington just weared him out, like just out-wrestled him. Do you know what I mean? So going into this fight, Colby Covington might not have a perfect striking record in general, or doesn't have a high knockout ratio in the UFC, but I think in my opinion, his wrestling is going to be too much for Jorge Masvidal, and we all know how tough wrestlers are. To be honest, wrestlers are really tough, and I think, yeah, definitely Colby's wrestling is going to be too much for the Gamebred Masvidal going into this fight. Masvidal's only chance of beating Colby Covington is obviously on the feet, right? But as I've mentioned, after the first fight against Usman, Colby's striking has improved exponentially. His striking abilities have gone up and a lot better than it used to be. Although sometimes you can see a bit of recklessness where he just goes out swinging punches unnecessarily. But I think going into this fight, I think Colby Covington has the advantage in the wrestling department, and I think the wrestling is gonna be what will determine the outcome of the fight. The striking can as well, but Colby Covington is no joke in the striking department as well. He's no one's slug. Like he can swing. So definitely it's gonna be an incredible fight. I mean, rarely do we see two best friends or two best pals, like best mates, turn into sort of like bitter rivals or arch rivals in mixed martial arts. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, we saw at one point Anderson Silva for Vitor Belfort. They used to be friends at one point, right? So their relationship, something happened. But honestly, mate, this particular fight is just definitely going to be absolutely incredible, to be honest. Like, how is the fight going to start? Is Masvidal just going to jump in and throw a flying knee and try to knock Colby Covington out? I mean, I saw like a take from Chelpy Sonnen, former UFC middleweight contender, former UFC light heavyweight contender. He did contend for the light heavyweight title, and he gave his perspective, and his perspective is almost similar to mine as well. And he sort of like concluded. So his conclusion was primarily or largely based on Colby Covington's wrestling rather than anything else, to be honest. And Jorge Masvidal, I'm not saying Colby is not old. I mean, he's not the youngest person in the UFC. I mean, he's in his 30s. But Masvidal's been doing it for a long time, and you can't teach old dogs new tricks, right? The guy's been doing it. He's the same guy. You know what I mean? As you mentioned, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. It's the same guy. So, yeah, I think Colby Covington definitely has the advantage, and I think his wrestling is going to be too much for Masvidal. I think he's also going to wear him out and just beat him up constantly throughout 5 rounds. He's going to dominate the fight, but he's not going to finish him. That's my view on the fight. But ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts? I want your thoughts. I want your opinion on with regard to this fight, to be honest, because this is going to be an incredible fight. This is going to be a fight that I just can't wait. I can't wait because we've been waiting for it for like 2 years. How long have we been waiting for this fight? You know what I mean? Best friends turn foes. Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal, as I've mentioned, will be facing each other as the main event of UFC 272. And the bout, almost 2 years in the making, as I've said earlier, we'll see former roommates, teammates, and most importantly, best friends go head to head to settle their outside the octagon feud or dispute. And as I've mentioned earlier as well, it will be taking place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, ladies and gentlemen. I definitely appreciate you lot taking the time obviously watching this video. Also make sure to drop the like button, smash the like button down below, comment and subscribe with your notification bells turned on. I mean, it means a lot to me, small YouTuber trying to be something big, right, in the YouTube scene, an independent journalist. I don't like to say it. Anyways, I do appreciate the support. Make sure to subscribe, comment down below, and yeah, and most importantly, make sure leave your opinions. What are your personal predictions with regard to this fight? Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to win between Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal, and why? That's very important. Why do you think the person is going to win? Because as I've mentioned, Masvidal does have decent striking, and that sort of right body kick, right? That rear body kick that he just does to people like Nate Diaz, and that, like what he done, the kick. So like the rear kick that he did to Nate Diaz, or like someone like not Ben Askren, the fight didn't last long, to be honest. But the beating that he gave Darren Till as well, that's a good, that's a good beating. So definitely has the ability to knock Colby Covington out. We saw him knock Masvidal. We saw him Masvidal knock out Ben Askren, also knocked out Darren Till, and later beating on Nate Diaz. So he's capable of beating Colby Covington. But as I mentioned, my prediction or decision was largely based on his Colby's grappling rather than Colby's striking. And I think wrestlers have an advantage over strikers. All they have to do is just force them to the ground. Now Masvidal does have a really good takedown defense, but Colby's not that person who just shoots once. No, he sets up takedowns. He sets up takedowns. He would go try to take you down, fails, and then tries to take you down again until he gets you down to the ground. It's not like one of those people who are just going to give up when they fail. Absolutely not. But ladies and gentlemen, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, peace.